All right, let's talk about something absolutely fundamental to athleticism.
Yeah.
Something that, well, often gets overlooked for the flashier stuff. Footwork.
Yeah, it really does.
We're not just talking about shuffling your feet around, are we? We mean the absolute cornerstone, the foundation for building a really truly capable athlete.
Exactly. It unlocks potential in pretty much any physical thing you want to do.
So today, we're diving deep into why your movement patterns, starting right from the ground up with your feet.
Yeah.
Why that's the key. It's like wiring your whole body and brain for peak performance.
Uh-huh.
And we're looking at an approach that really puts that functional movement right at the very top.
And the really powerful idea here, I think, is this. Having exceptional movement quality, the kind you honed through dedicated footwork training, well, that can often give an athlete a significant edge.
An edge how?
It can mean outperforming someone with maybe pure technical skill,
Yeah.
especially when things get chaotic or the pressure's really on.
Right when it gets unpredictable?
Exactly. And that distinction, it kind of changes how you think about training, about development.
Okay, so where do we even begin? Let's try and break down the specific athletic attributes footwork really builds. First up, coordination.
Coordination is paramount.
Yeah.
Any effective athletic move needs your upper and lower body working together, just seamlessly.
Like they're talking to each other.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Footwork drills, whether you're using, I don't know, lines on the floor or an agility ladder, they force that synchronicity.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Think about something like a boxer's jab.
Okay.
Looks pretty simple, right? Just flicking the hand out. But the real power, the stability, that comes from precise foot placement, coordinating perfectly with that hand strike.
Oh, okay, I see.
These drills, they're literally training your nervous system. They're teaching it to fire the right muscles at exactly the right time. Makes complex stuff feel almost instinctive.
And you can't really talk coordination without bringing up balance, can you?
No way. They go hand in hand.
Yeah.
And balance, it's not just about standing still perfectly. It's that dynamic control, controlling your center of gravity while you're actually moving.
So things like lateral shuffles, pivots,
Uh-huh.
single leg drills too,
Yeah.
they're all designed to build that control. Think about a wrestler, right? Fighting like mad to stay on their feet during a scramble.
Yeah, balance is everything there.
Or a basketball player trying to pull off a sharp crossover without stumbling. That's balance in motion, pure and simple.
And without it.
Without solid balance, your power output is limited. And even technically perfect moves just crumble.
Okay, so we've got coordination, we've got balance. Logically, the next step is moving quickly, changing direction. That's agility, right?
Absolutely. Agility is all about changing direction efficiently, rapidly, but without losing speed or, your composure.
So cone drills come to mind.
Classic cone drills, yep. But reactive drills push it even further.
Like what?
Things like mirroring a partner's movements or reacting to a visual cue like a light or someone pointing.
So it's unpredictable. Exactly. They train your body and your brain to shift directions instantly, smoothly. It's vital in sports like soccer, needing that quick cut to beat a defender.
Or MMA.
Definitely. In MMA, agility lets you cut angles, control the distance, stay safe.
And there's often a certain flow to great movement. It makes me think of rhythm. Is that part of it too?
Oh, absolutely. Rhythm is that essential timing, that flow, that sort of underlying bounce you see in a good boxer or the grace of a dancer.
Mm-hmm.
Footwork drills help you internalize that rhythm. It lets athletes move fluidly, anticipate opponents better, and crucially, it helps conserve energy.
Because choppy movement is tiring.
Exactly. Erratic, off-rhythm movement is exhausting, and it's predictable for your opponent.
Okay. And maybe the most subtle one, but maybe the most critical, body awareness, that proprioception.
Yes, that deep sense of where your body is in space, how it's moving, even when you can't actually see your feet.
How do drills help that?
Drills that force you to navigate precisely in, limited space. Weaving through cones or obstacles, executing tight pivots without looking down.
Right.
They teach your body to make these tiny automatic adjustments to stay stable, to maintain position. It's absolutely essential in chaotic, close quarters stuff.
Like a rugby scrum.
Perfect example. Or a grappling exchange. Visibility might be zero, but you need that perfect spatial awareness. And what's truly fascinating, I think, is how deeply connected all these things are to the nervous system.
It's not just muscles then.
Not at all. Footwork isn't just training muscles, it's actively stimulating the brain. Those rapid-fire foot movements and ladder drills,
Yeah.
they train your brain to process sensory input faster and then send motor commands back out faster.
So it improves reaction times.
Directly
Yeah.
improves reaction times, yeah. And decision-making speed. There was actually research, I think back in 2018, Journal of Strength and Conditioning Research, found that agility training significantly enhances cognitive processing speed.
Wow. So it's not just physical, it sharpens your mental game too.
Under duress, absolutely.
So if you're listening and thinking, okay, how does this apply to me? Whether you're, a total beginner or a seasoned athlete.
It starts simple. For someone new, just mastering basic in and out steps on a ladder, that's building that foundation, that coordination.
For someone more advanced?
Then it might be those complex reactive drills we talked about. Responding to random signals, forcing split-second decisions, sharpening agility. It's all about layering these core skills.
Okay. Now let's tackle something really critical you mentioned earlier.
Hmm?
Movement is the prerequisite for technique.
Yes, this is a big one.
It feels, well, a bit counterintuitive sometimes. People often think technique is everything. So why does movement have to come first?
Because even a technically perfect action, a powerful punch, a beautiful jump shot, whatever, it's completely useless if the athlete isn't in the right place.
What is the right time?
Or at the right time, or if they're off balance when they try it. Imagine a boxer, right? Throws a technically flawless cross, perfect form, but their footwork was off. They stepped too far, maybe lunged a bit, now they're off balance. That perfect punch just sails wide, and worse, they're now vulnerable.
Right, open for a counter.
Exactly. Or think of a basketball player, perfect shooting form, textbook. But if their footwork doesn't get them open to even receive the pass,
That technique never gets used.
never gets used. Movement puts you in the position where your technique can actually succeed.
So I like this idea. If technique is the tool, footwork is like the toolbox.
That's a great analogy. Exactly. The tool is useless if it's buried at the bottom, or if the toolbox is unstable when you try to grab it. Footwork is the system. It organizes, it enables the tools, puts the athlete in the best spot to apply force, change direction, defend, whatever they need to do.
And we see this at the elite level.
Oh, constantly. Watch Israel Adesanya in MMA. His mastery of distance, of angles, it's all subtle footwork.
Yeah.
And it often just neutralizes opponents striking, even if they have technically really sharp hands.
He's just not there to be hit.
Pretty much. Or a great running back in football. They aren't just strong, it's that incredibly quick, precise footwork that lets them find and slip through tiny gaps.
Even dance.
Absolutely. In dance, the footwork is the framework for the whole performance. If the steps falter, the whole thing loses its aesthetic, its power. And this perspective, it really challenges that traditional way of teaching, doesn't it? Where you often jump straight into complex sport-specific techniques.
They learn the fancy move first.
Yeah. But when you prioritize developing those foundational movement patterns first, athletes actually learn and apply the techniques much faster and better because they have the underlying physical literacy, the capability to actually do them properly.
So a practical example,
Yeah,
maybe in combat sports.
for sure. Starting beginners with, say, shadow footwork.
Just moving, no striking.
Exactly. Spending time just moving in your stance, practicing defensive steps, pivots, weight transfers, before you even add punches or kicks.
Why is that better?
It ingrains good habits from the start. Prevents things like relying only on arm strength or getting off balance the moment you try to throw something with power. Builds the foundation first.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Now, one of the really compelling benefits you touched on is how this focus on footwork builds incredibly transferable athleticism.
Yes, this is key. It's not locked into just one sport.
The skills apply elsewhere.
You bet. Think about fundamental drills. Agility ladders, cone sprints, lateral shuffles. You see them everywhere, right?
Yeah, in almost every sports warm-up.
Because the movement patterns they build are universal. A quick cut in soccer uses similar biomechanics to a pivot in boxing, or changing direction on defense in basketball. You're essentially building a fundamental physical vocabulary.
A language of movement.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
A language that applies across different disciplines. And this has real-world impact. Studies have actually shown that athletes focusing on agility training, which is heavily footwork-based, show improved reaction times and better defensive positioning across different team sports.
So it translates directly.
Directly to anticipating and reacting to what an opponent does. Yes.
And for you listening, navigating those chaotic situations, whether it's on a sports field or just, catching yourself from stumbling on the street, this is vital.
It is. Footwork drills often simulate that unpredictability, mirroring a partner's random moves maybe, or navigating a cluttered space.
It's practice for the unexpected.
Exactly. It prepares you to react instantly, effectively, when things don't go perfectly to plan. Which brings us back to that really powerful claim. A well-conditioned mover, someone with great footwork, can absolutely outperform a technically proficient but, let's say, less athletic opponent.
Why is that? How does that work?
Because that athleticism, built through superior footwork, it provides adaptability. They can handle almost anything the opponent throws at them.
They can adjust on the fly.
They can outmaneuver, create angles, control distance, find opportunities, things that the less mobile, maybe slightly more skilled technician just can't access.
We've all seen that, right?
Hmm.
The fighter with amazing footwork, just frustrating someone who looks technically sharper.
Exactly. Making them miss, making them look clumsy just by not being there. Superior movement controlling the fight. And the broader insight here is that this transferable athleticism is just invaluable, especially if you cross-train or switch sports or maybe start a new activity later in life.
You're not starting from scratch.
Right. You're not starting from zero on fundamental movement. You've already built this robust, versatile, physical foundation.
So a practical drill for that adaptability.
Mm.
Maybe something like 4-square footwork.
Yeah, that's a good one, where you rapidly move between quadrants on a grid, maybe changing direction based on commands or cues.
Mimics real-world demands.
It really does. It mimics the multi-directional chaos of so many activities and trains you to react efficiently, no matter which way you suddenly need to move.
Okay, so footwork enables skills. It makes them transferable. But you also said it acts as a multiplier.
A significant multiplier, yeah. It doesn't just support skills, it amplifies them.
How does it multiply skill? Give me an example.
Power generation is a prime one. Especially in striking, your power doesn't just come from your arm.
Comes from the ground up, they always say.
Exactly. Proper footwork, like that slight pivot of the lead foot when you throw across, allows you to drive force from your legs, through your hips, through your core, and into the punch.
And bad footwork.
Bad footwork means you're just relying on arm strengths. You're throwing arm punches. Much less power, much less effective.
Okay, I get that for striking. What about grappling? Takedowns.
Same principle applies. For a smooth, powerful takedown in wrestling or MMA, you need precise footwork. Those quick penetration steps to close the distance without telegraphing.
And staying balanced as you shoot in.
Crucial. Good footwork makes those transitions fast, fluid, and powerful. Bad footwork makes them slow, obvious, and easy to defend.
Defensive moves, too.
Definitely. Slipping a punch in boxing, it's not just bending at the waist. Often, it's a subtle, quick lateral foot adjustment that gets your head just out of the line of fire really efficiently.
Or a soccer defender.
Constantly making small footwork adjustments. Staying in front of an attacker without overcommitting, without getting flat-footed, it's all footwork.
And what about those unexpected moments? Recovering from a stumble, getting clipped.
That's where the muscle memory built through all that footwork repetition really shines.
It becomes automatic.
Exactly. Switching stances under pressure, regaining your balance instantly after you get hit or tripped. When your body handles those automatic transitions and recoveries because the footwork is just ingrained.
It frees up your brain.
It frees up your conscious mind. You're not spending precious mental energy trying not to fall over. You're thinking strategy, anticipating the next move, setting up your own attack. It's a massive cognitive advantage. And this multiplier effect, it's not just theory, it's been studied. Research has shown athletes with better footwork mechanics generate significantly more force in explosive movements.
How much more?
Potentially a 20% increase compared to those with less efficient movement patterns. That's huge.
20% is not small.
Not at all. That's turning your existing technique into something far more potent just by improving the movement foundation.
So, practical drills, like practicing angle cutting, stepping deliberately at specific angles.
Exactly. Simulating getting yourself into the optimal position relative to an opponent or an objective. It directly enhances whatever technique you plan to use next, just because your starting point is biomechanically stronger.
This all seems to tie into a core philosophy. Prioritizing functional movement over just, well, form for form's sake, or flashy techniques.
Yes, that's a really good way to put it. Functional over purely aesthetic or flashy.
Why is flashy often the first thing to break down under pressure? We see that a lot.
Because flashy techniques often rely on perfect conditions, or they lack the fundamental movement base needed when things get messy, unpredictable.
When there's resistance.
Exactly. Under pressure, against someone actually trying to starp you. If your balance is off, if your coordination fails, if you can't move efficiently in a tight space, that flashy spinning kick or that complex dribbling sequence just isn't going to work.
But functional skills hold up.
Functional movement skills, just being able to maintain balance when someone's pushing you, being able to change direction instantly, those are the things that actually hold up when the stakes are high. And this ground-up training approach, starting with footwork, fundamental movement patterns, it's incredibly effective, especially for beginners.
Why beginners particularly?
It simplifies that initial learning curve. You're building the core physical capability first. It actually allows athletes to progress much faster later on because they aren't constantly being held back by a weak foundation when they try to learn more complex skills.
Not fighting their own bodies.
Precisely. And as we've kind of touched on, this is exactly why an athlete trained with this functional approach can often outshine someone with maybe more years of specific practice, but who lacks that underlying movement quality.
How so?
Superior footwork gives you control. Control over distance, over positioning. It lets you dictate the terms of engagement. You can effectively neutralize a purely technical advantage.
Making the veteran look slow.
Yeah, think of a relative novice with amazing agility and balance just making a veteran technician look flat-footed, frustrated. We see it happen. And this whole philosophy, it aligns really well with modern sports science trends, doesn't it? Emphasizing broad athletic development before early specialization.
General movement skills first.
Right. Research consistently shows that athletes who develop general movement patterns early tend to adapt faster and better when they do eventually specialize in a particular sport.
So a practical application for coaches, or even for yourself, is structuring training with a movement-first curriculum.
Definitely. Spending dedicated time on basic patterns, forward-backward shuffles, lateral steps, simple pivots, building that foundational coordination and body control before you start layering on complex sport-specific techniques. Build the base first.
Now let's be real. Life and sports are dynamic. They're unpredictable. How do footwork drills specifically prepare you for that kind of chaos?
Well, they're often designed to mimic it, at least in part. Opponents aren't static targets, are they?
Well, they react. They trick you.
They feint, they change angles, they exploit your mistakes. So drills like partner mirroring, they force you into constant, unpredictable adaptation while demanding you maintain control and balance. And crucially, these drills build control under pressure.
How do they simulate pressure?
They introduce elements of stress, fatigue, maybe rapid, unexpected demands, like changing direction instantly based on a coach's random command or navigating obstacles while trying to move quickly.
Builds resilience.
Builds physical resilience, absolutely.
Yeah.
But also mental composure. You see it in that football player who can maintain precise, controlled footwork during a game-winning drive, even when they're utterly exhausted and every single step matters. This also seems to argue for repetition over just memorization, right?
No, absolutely. Simply memorizing sequences, like a preset combination of moves, that breaks down almost instantly under real pressure.
Because the situation is never exactly like the drill. Footwork training, through intense repetition, builds instinctive movement responses. That crucial muscle memory. It allows your body to react correctly, appropriately, without conscious thought, which is often too slow. And this concept is very much tied to what some call constrained chaos training.
Constrained chaos.
Yeah, setting up drills that are dynamic, variable, unpredictable within certain limits. Research supports this too. Athletes trained in these conditions perform better and are more adaptable than those whose training is always static and predictable.
So maybe incorporating chaos drills like navigating a small, cluttered space while doing footwork patterns that directly prepares you for the messiness of a real game.
Exactly. Building fluidity and resilience under pressure, ready for whatever happens.
Okay, let's circle back to something fascinating. You mentioned how footwork training profoundly impacts the nervous system itself.
Yes, the brain connection is key.
It's actually rewiring your brain.
In a very real sense, yes. Footwork fundamentally strengthens that connection between your brain and your muscles. Neuromuscular efficiency, they call it.
How?
Those rapid, intricate foot drills we talked about. They improve your brain's ability to process sensory input, seeing the ladder rung, sensing your body's position, and then send lightning-fast motor commands back to your feet and limbs.
And that repetition builds the muscle memory.
Right, which allows for those instinctive movements that are just critical in high-pressure moments. Conscious thought is just too slow sometimes. And think about dynamic drills again. Reacting instantly to external cues, a light flashing, a coach pointing, an auditory signal.
That trains decision-making.
Directly trains quick decision-making and reactive speed.
Huh.
Imagine the advantage for a fighter who can instantly adjust their footwork based on just a subtle feint from their opponent. It's immense.
Uh-huh.
And the insight from neuroscience here is really clear. Footwork training promotes neuroplasticity. Your brain adapts.
So it gets more efficient.
Studies show this kind of training actually improves neural efficiency, leading to faster reaction times, better motor control. You are quite literally training your brain for faster, more effective physical performance.
So those practical exercises like reactive footwork, where you only move based on a random signal from someone else.
Incredibly powerful. They build that quick decision-making, that reflexive movement that translates immediately to reacting effectively in unpredictable real-world situations. So if we boil it all down, the core principle here is incredibly powerful, I think. Movement quality, more often than not, dictates athletic performance more than isolated technique does.
Movement beats mechanics.
Often, yes.
Right.
An athlete who moves exceptionally well coordinated, balanced, agile, rhythmic, aware they can consistently outmaneuver, adapt, and ultimately outperform an opponent who might possess slightly more refined specific techniques but lacks that underlying mastery of movement.
And the beauty of this really is that it isn't just for elite competitors, is it? The appeal is universal.
It's huge. Better footwork benefits the runner navigating tricky, uneven terrain. It benefits the dancer who needs precision and flow. It helps the casual gym goer improve their balance just to prevent falls. Anyone involved in dynamic physical activity.
Builds a foundation.
A foundational physical literacy that genuinely lasts a lifetime. Specific techniques in one sport, they might become outdated. But the ability to move well with grace, efficiency, control, that's always valuable, always. Whether you're competing, just staying active, or navigating the world. And this emphasis on functional, transferable movement, it's absolutely in line with modern approaches to fitness and combat, isn't it? Things like CrossFit, various martial arts, they prioritize general athleticism and movement quality.
You see it in the greats, too.
Oh.
Muhammad Ali, his footwork wasn't just showboating.
Not at all. It dictated the distance, made him incredibly hard to hit. It was his defense, in large
Was
part.
Kyrie Irving in basketball.
His incredible handle. It's built on mesmerizingly precise footwork that just keeps defenders constantly off balance.
Lionel Messi on the soccer field.
Yeah. Seemingly gliding through multiple defenders. Phenomenal agility, body control, all born from elite-level footwork. Even simple things you can do right now. Regular side-to-side shuffles, just jumping rope.
Yeah.
They start building this fundamental capability.
Okay, so let's land this here. Footwork really is the unsung hero. It's the essential foundation of athleticism across pretty much all disciplines.
It is.
It doesn't just support your skills. It builds the core physical and neurological attributes. Coordination, balance, agility, rhythm, awareness, reactive speed. All the things that allow techniques to actually flourish and enable you to adapt, react, and excel in any physical challenge, no matter how chaotic it gets.
And connecting that to the bigger picture, what does this mean for you, the listener? It really means that investing time and focus on improving your fundamental movement patterns, well, it can unlock a level of physical potential you might not have even realized was there.
So maybe leave yourself with this thought. Consider how prioritizing the simple, fundamental elements of how you move your basic coordination, your balance, your agility, how that could fundamentally change the game for you, not just in sports maybe, but in how effortlessly and effectively you navigate the physical demands of your everyday life.